The Mayo Experience.
That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, Week 1, Sunday Live, injuries, rankings, your questions. We got it all here for you. Brad Evans is going to be joining me in about 5 to 10 minutes. He's on Sirius XM right now. He's a real big shot. So he's going to be a little bit late to the show every single Sunday, but that allows me to rap with you guys for a little bit. I do want to let you know, before we dig into anything and get to your questions right off the top, then we're going to get into the injuries and everything like that with Brad to break down some of the developing situations. We've hit on most of everything during the week. If you want to find anything, whether it be the rankings, whether it be the old shows, the cheat sheets, hit the description of this video. Well, if you're listening after the fact, or podcast, and you can find all of that stuff. It'll be updated as of the inactives, which happen at 11:35 a.m. Eastern Time. We'll be off the air for that, but you can hit the rankings and boom, it'll all just be updated there for you. Do want to let you know, if you're serious about either betting on football this year or playing DraftKings NFL this year, you need to go to ftndaily.com, get yourself an NFL sub, use code MAYO for a discount. Player projections, optimizer, cornerback, and wide receiver matchups done by Jeff Ratcliffe himself, the master of all of this stuff. Pay stats, a lineup builder, an optimizer, ownership projections. It's all in there. All of the tools that you need to have to use at your disposal to make everything easy for you. That's the way you do it. ftndaily.com, code MAYO. Plus, if you do have more questions for Brad Evans, he's going to be doing a live AMA every single Sunday starting at noon Eastern Time, but you're going to have the FTN Daily Football sub in order to get it, because we're not going to be going through like 500 questions on the line today. We're going to try to get to as many as possible, though. The Listeners League also is in the description of this video and podcast. $15 to play, 3 max entry, no rake. It is the best tournament on DraftKings, and there's still 100 spots left in it. So I suggest you go do that right now. And you can use all of our information against us as we do it. But on the line right now, joining me from FTN Network, of FTNBets.com, FTNDaily.com, FTNFantasy.com, the FTN Network, you know him as a guy that you need to fade. It's Brad Evans. What's up?
Yes, fade indeed. Happy football Sunday, man. We got a full slate of games. We're still waiting for word on whether or not they're going to play in San Francisco. I heard the AQI, the air quality index, is at 147. So it's well below the 200 threshold, where it's like apocalyptic, completely unhealthy, Beijing-like, north of that. So it looks like we're going to have football there on the south side of the Bay. But one storyline to monitor, whether or not Tevin Coleman, who remember has a sickle cell condition, whether or not he is going to suit up for San Francisco today. I think he's going to be limited regardless. So it's an upgrade certainly for Raheem Mostert, and maybe even a little bit more Jerick McKinnon as well if you're in a deeper format.
Yeah, that's one thing I really wanted to hit on was the San Francisco game. I think that ownership on DraftKings is going to be severely depressed from it because people are just too scared to play guys in it. Yep. I'm using Drake. I'm using Colonel Mostert. I bet the over on Colonel Mostert rushing yards, that's going to be at 54.5 at -120. So I really like that one a lot because either way, I think Coleman's going to be limited. He still may opt out of this game. Kyle Shanahan is giving him his option whether he can play or whether he can not play, but like you said, he's likely to be limited. Let's jump into 3 questions right off the top, Brad. Do I start all 3 of my running backs today, Aaron Jones in my flex, or do I go with Chark or Gallup over Aaron Jones? Now, to me, Aaron Jones is probably the sensible choice. I love DJ Chark this week, though. I'm trying to find every way to play him.
I am too. I can't justify sitting Aaron Jones, who's one of the most efficient red zone running backs in the NFL. And remember, everybody was talking up A.J. Dillon because he was wearing some John Stockton shorts and showing off his glorious drumsticks like 3 weeks ago. A.J. Dillon may not even be active in this game, to be honest with you. If he is, he's going to be just barely a bit player. So if Green Bay is knocking at the door of the goal line against this Minnesota front, which is rather ferocious, the ball is going to be in the belly of Aaron Jones. So I'm still going to play him, but I wholeheartedly agree with your perspective on DJ Chark. I had to do not a double take, Mayo. I had to do a triple take because I thought DraftKings algorithm was broken when they set the line on DJ Chark yards this week at 55.5. I jumped on it immediately at -112 juice. Of course, a juice I think spiked to like 152 right away. But that one just was like screaming free money to me because he's going to go up against Rock Yassin which is one of the greatest names in all professional sports. Rock Yassin. I mean, how awesome is that? Talk about like all the all-time pickup lines. If you're at a club or at a bar with a lady, it'd be like, what's your name? It's Rock Yassin. For real? Bam. Break out the old driver's license. I mean, right there, you're in. So Rock Yassin, though, is a very forgiving DB. He's given up a 101.4 passer rate to his assignments, at least he did last season. So Chark is going to be in a very advantageous position, likely scoreboard chasing. I think it's at least 70 yards and a touchdown for him. I am ranked as my wide receiver 10 this week overall in a half-point PPR. So I still go Aaron Jones, but DJ Chark is right there in that conversation.
Yeah, I mean, you're just being a coward about this. Play DJ Chark. That's what I'm going to say. That's what, if it is my lineup, I would play DJ Chark. So that is the one prop. So I have a list. I put it out on Twitter of 9 props that I'm playing. All overs, mind you. It's props. Like, you can go find unders that you like. Who the fuck wants to root for an under? No one. So let's root for some overs and hit these early and go cash it. I put 9 out there. The parlay together does pay 250 to 1. Some books allow you to parlay props from one from each separate game. The moment that you double up on some of these props from the single game, they will no longer allow you to parlay them together, and not every book will allow you to parlay props together. You should go to ftnbets.com, by the way, if you're considering betting this year. It is a free tool up on FTN Bets right now. It's called the Prop Shop. You can type in any player, and then you can just search. It'll give you the list of all of the odds at all of the sites, and then you can just make your choice. Hey, who has the best odds? Which side do I like? Where am I getting the best juice at? Where am I getting the best number at? Highly recommend it. ftnbets.com, the Prop Shop. Go check it out. If you want to become a full member, code Mayo or code Evans, whichever one you want to use. But the only single prop that I play just outright, like the big bet prop for the day, is that DJ Chark number. It is over 59.5 receiving yards at -120. I love that.
Well, it's good that you have more restraint than I do, because I have an unhealthy amount of action on props today, Mayo. In fact, let me grab my board. I made a top 5 list. I scribbled it down here, and I don't know if you can see that, but those are my Fade 5 Week 1 props. DJ Chark, there he is, numero uno.
Oh, this
right there at
55 and a half. That's a great number.
Yeah, that was a DraftKings.
There we go.
Devin Singletary, I'm on the under at 78.5 total yards. I think Zach Moss is going to push this pretty close to a 50-50 split against the Jets. And the Jets' strength, at least last year, was in the trenches, and I think that's going to carry over this year. He only gave up 3.2 yards per carry, the running back position. George Kittle is playing Arizona. That's all you need to know. They're allergic to defending the tight end. Look at that number, 67.5. That's crazy. And plus, I mean, what healthy wide receivers they had? Kendrick Bourne is their number 1, more than likely right now. With Deebo Samuel out, Jalen Hurts out for the year. I mean, they're hurting across the board. Brandon Ayuk may not play. Austin Eckler, 29.5 receiving yards against Cincinnati. Another one that seems like a free square, though. It's a heavy juice at -152. And then DJ Moore, 5.5 receptions at plus odds, +110 today against the Raiders. And he gets Damon Arnett there out, primarily out of the slot, also out wide. And I think he's going to run rush shot over that guy. So there you go. Those are my Fade 5. And I've got like another dozen more that I fired off on today. Again, I got problems.
So I went Anthony Miller over 3.5 receptions, Devontae Adams over 87.5 yards, Chark over 59.5. That is my single play as a prop. Goddard over 34.5 has hit that number in 7 of his past 8 games. So let's go. DJ Moore over 64.5 receiving yards. Jamison Crowder over 4.5 receptions. Keenan Allen over 54.5 receiving yards. I really like that one, even with Mike Williams back in. Raheem Mostert over 54.5. DK Metcalf over 58.5. And I did the Cardinals in, Brad. So I played that Chark single, but then I played them all as a 6-way round robin. So those 9 props as 8. I had to bet 84 times my money in order to do it, but I'm going to get them all as a collection of 6. Then I played a 9x 8-way one too, plus the all the way parlay. Gonna see if this works out. See if I lose all my money on week 1. That's going to be fun. I am playing the Saints -3.5 and the over in the Carolina and Oakland game. I got it at 48. There are some 47.5s dangling out there, but that number is moving up and up and up. This is going to be the game to really target in DFS, I think. Yep. Everyone's going to go Atlanta. Everyone's going to go Seattle or the Saints and the Bucks or even the Lions and the Bears, although that's a very suppressed game total. This game is just going to be pure shootout by the big play index, which factors in over 15-yard runs and over 25-yard receptions in a game. Both of these defenses rank inside the top 10 in giving up big plays. Just explosion for fantasy points everywhere. A lot of people are on this Teddy Bridgewater stack, and I'm one of those people. No one's using the Derek Carr side of this, though.
No, they're not. And I think it's absurd. I mean, obviously, Josh Jacobs.
No,
people
pass.
are all in the
Full
bandwagon.
fade. Full fade on Josh Jacobs.
Really? Please tell me why, because I need reasons.
I lost you for a second in my ear here.
Oh, I said, please tell me why a full fade on Josh Jacobs, because I need reasons.
Oh, yeah, everyone's using him. I'm going to use Mixon. I'm going to use Gurley. I'm going to use Kenyon Drake. All in that range, or I'll pay up for Dalvin Cook. Like, if he doesn't score, I don't think he's going to. All these rumors about him being used in the receiving game, I'm not buying until I actually see it. So if he doesn't score 2 touchdowns, then all of a sudden we're in a world of trouble here. And if he's going to be owned by like 25% of all players, I got to make a stand somewhere. That's going to be my stand. I'm going to take Ruggs in that game instead and hope they go deep.
Well, I think Josh Jacobs is going to go for 100 yards and a touchdown. I do agree it's going to be a very sneaky shootout game. I think it's going to be comfortably in the mid-20s when it's all said and done between these two franchises, which have serious question marks defensively. I mean, Carolina has a very green, inexperienced front line. Same applies to their linebacker core. Luke Kuechly retired in the offseason. They're going to be okay, but most, prognosticators out there ranking them in the bottom third or at least the bottom quarter in terms of pass defense, in terms of the overall projection there. So I'm with you on Derek Carr. Derek Carr is fascinating to me. I think Hunter Renfrow is a player that could have a very nice game here. I know a lot of people are all about Bryan Edwards. I know some people are like yourself are all about Henry Ruggs. We can't forget about Darren Waller, but Renfrow is a guy that Carr built a ton of trust up with late in the season last year, a player that was on 1,000-yard pace over really the final 8 games of the regular season. He was top 10 in yak per reception. He's going to be the primary slot guy here, and he gets Justin Burris in coverage, who gave up a 71% catch rate to his assignments a season ago. So I love me some Hunter Renfrow. He's on my Fantasy Flames list, and he is a staple in my DFS lineups this week because he is ultra cheap at DraftKings.
All right, let's jump into the chat to take a few questions here. Would you play Boston Scott or Le'Veon Bell?
Oh, this is an easy windmill slam dunk, Dominique Wilkins style with Boston Scott. Do you really want to roll out Le'Veon Bell, who had a horrendous training camp by local accounts?
I saw a video of him running up a hill in his underwear yesterday, and dude has a 12-pack. Like, let's be real here. The guy's going to be...
Well, yeah, okay. He may have a 12-pack, and, he's got abs that you and I can only dream of, but... you look at the secondary analytics last season, they fell off precipitously with him. This is an eroding talent. He was outside the top 40 in yak per attempt. He was outside the top 40 in yards created per carry. I know Frank Gore is 10 billion years old. I think he was born in the Mesozoic, but Frank Gore had a banner camp. He's going to be involved. It could be a 60-40 split here. The Jets are going to be terrible. Now, that could benefit Le'Veon Bell because of the game script, but this is a low total, under 40. I think I said 39 and a half last I saw between the Bills and the Jets. And here's the thing about Boston Scott. Boston Scott can play, folks. He was one of my favorite players out of the draft a couple of years ago, was a UDFA, had a cup of coffee with the New Orleans Saints. They cut him. La Tech product, short, stocky, Darren Sproles-like. And he's explosive. I mean, on 15.7 touches per game, weeks 14 through 17 last season. Now, granted, he was working in tandem with Miles Sanders during those contests. He was a player that averaged over 80 total yards per game. He was a player that was 3 for 3 on attempts inside the 5 that he converted for touchdowns. You're going to get some Corey Clement, but you got a great matchup against his Washington front outside of the bookends there in Sweat and Chase Young, I think has a lot of question marks. So for me, it's Boston Scott, who I have ranked at RB 17 this week, Mayo. I may have a little bit of a man crush on the little guy.
Yeah, I have him at running back number 21. I think he's a fine play. So let's hit on that news note already. If you didn't know, Miles Sanders is not traveling with the team to Washington to play the footballs this week. So we're going to get Boston Scott, but Corey Clement's also going to be into this mix a little bit. I just don't know how much. That's the only hesitation I have, because like on DraftKings, this opens up Boston Scott right now. I don't want to give too much away from Kyle Murray's ownership projections, but he has him around like 25%. That's at $4,800. I think he's a better option than like Gibson or Thompson or Robinson and those guys who are cheaper, but they're also $800 cheaper. And now all of the ownership that was going to funnel in towards those guys is now going to Boston Scott. I don't think he's a terrible fade if you want to pay down. And season long, He's a running back 2 for me, a low-end running back 2. But I do have some worries that if he doesn't get the goal line carries and those go to Clement, or the game script flips a little bit and they get up by a bunch early on, that it might be like a 50-50 split here.
Yeah, look, that's a potential downside because we know what Doug Peterson loves to do. He loves to, work in multiple running backs and that revolving door backfield. Now, I will say this about Boston Scott. Again, he was peak efficient inside the red zone last year. So if I had to venture a guess who's going to get the primary shot there, the first crack at puncturing the end zone, it's going to be him. And, he is plus 125 at DraftKings Sportsbook right now to score a touchdown anytime. So Scott has he could do it with his legs. He could obviously do it through the air as well. He's a very adept receiver out of the backfield and a player that does get appreciable yards after contact. 3.97 yak per attempt, again, during that weeks 14 through 17 stretch last year. And the other news that we have with Philadelphia is this, there's question marks on the offensive line. Dillard's out for the season. Brooks out for the season. Lane Johnson is very questionable to play, but we just saw a little news blurb on him. He says he's going to try to give it a go. So if he could be effective in terms of opening up some lanes for Boston Scott, that's a major upgrade on this reshuffled offensive line of the Philadelphia Eagles. But I have like Eagles green colored sunglasses on right now, and I see Boston Scott, and for me, it's very hard to look past it because I absolutely love the player, his skill set, and fit within this Peterson system.
All right, let's go to some quick one-word answers and burn through a few of these. Diggs or Deshaun Jackson? I'm going Diggs.
Diggs.
Rojo, Moss, Dobbins, or Anthony Miller in PPR? Pick one. Anthony Miller for me.
The PPR is the swing here. I'll also go Anthony Miller.
Pick one. Keenan Allen, Hayden Hurst, Le'Veon Bell, or Henry Ruggs? I think that's a very clear Keenan Allen.
100% Keenan Allen. Yep.
All right. OBJ, Hilton, or Gallup? I like T.Y. Hilton here. No one's really talking about T.Y. Hilton.
Nobody is. Everybody's focused on the running backs there. I also go T.Y. Hilton, and I'm going to exercise and maximize the matchup.
All right. 2 of 3. Mixon, Connor, or Drake? I think I'm sitting down Mixon in this one.
I'm actually going to sit down Kenny Drake.
Oh, no.
I have James Conner top 10. I have Drake, I think it's 16 this week. And then Mixon I have at 12, though that Chargers front line is formidable.
Remember, everyone out there, please help out the show and smash the like button to the episode. Also, subscribe to Mayo Media Network. We got past 10K subs. We're on the move to 20K. Let's go. We need you out there right now, sharing the show around, telling people to sub to Mayo Media Network. The biggest news notes of the morning, we just got to Boston Scott. The other one is this Mike Evans news is that he's going to try to play. If he does play, he's going to be on a pitch count. And that's a late game. There's only 3 late games. So for DraftKings-wise, that's the end of the slate. So you're going to have a pivot play. If you do want to use Mike Evans, I would just say don't use him on DraftKings. Other than that, you do have the Sunday night game and both Monday nighters in order to fill in that spot. I have him tentatively ranked 46th in my wide receiver rankings. I would go out of my way to try to not play Mike Evans this week, Brad.
No, I'm congruent with you there. I'm not playing him either. Why would you touch a guy with a hamstring injury that can flare up in a moment's notice? Not only that, but he has got a roller coaster history against Marshawn Lattimore. I mean, he's had games where he's been very explosive for like 100 yards at touchdown, and other games where he's been completely shut down. I think this has got decoy written all over it. If he's even active, I think you're going to see more Scotty Miller. And if you need him in like in a 16-team or deeper league, or if you want to go ultra cheap in a DFS slate in the afternoon, he's somebody worth your consideration. I think Gronk and O.J. Howard are going to be heavily involved as they're going to feature more 12 personnel formations within this offense. And Chris Godwin as well. Going to see, some PJ Williams there out of the slot, and PJ stands for pile of junk because he's not good at coverage. Well, so yeah, I'm staying far away from Mike Evans.
Yeah, I don't even want to use the secondary and tertiary options on the Bucs. Like, it's Chris Godwin or it's no one for me. I don't care about Scotty Miller. I don't care about Justin Watson. Like, what I care about is this Detroit game with no Kenny Golladay. It looks like Marvin Hall is going to get the start on the outside. That is a matchup I want to be all over. $3,900 on DraftKings, 27 ADOT last season. This guy goes deep. He is an actual slate breaker.
Yeah, and look, and the Bears are going to be starting a rookie DB in Jalen Johnson as well. And I would assume that's going to be the primary assignment of Marvin Hall. You mentioned his field stretching abilities. And this is the thing, within this Bevel offense in year 2, what Detroit really wants to do. I talked to Tim 20 Man on my Sirius XM show last week, and I asked him, I'm like, every time I fire up Twitter and I see a Detroit Lions feed come into my scroll, at Noisy Huevos, it's Matthew Stafford uncorking down the field. And I said, is that going to be kind of a point of emphasis this year? He goes, yeah, absolutely. And you look at what Stafford did last year, was 11.4 ADOT, was number one among all qualifying quarterbacks over 8 games until the bad back kicked in for him. So, yeah, I think Marvin Hall could be sneaky good. I picked him up in Scott Fishbowl. I'm playing for charity against Cam McMillan of Roto Grinders. And, $500 goes to Fantasy Cares. That's what the loser is going to pay out. So everybody's winning in this whole equation. But I don't want to lose a Cam. And I actually picked up Marvin Hall, and I am plugging him in. That's how confident I am. He's got a shot of scoring a long touchdown against that rookie DB of the Bears.
So no Mike Evans if you can't do it. And if you do have to do it, make sure that you use him in your flex just to give yourself some more outs if you need to replace him, whether it be at receiver, tight end, or running back. That's always the way to do this. Always utilize your flex spot for players in later games just to give yourself more options in this regard. Mike Williams is apparently going to test it out against the Bengals now. It was reported by Schefter at midnight that he wouldn't play. Then it was reported this morning that he would play. So we'll just wait for the actives and inactives to come out. Again, that is a late game. I have no faith in Mike Williams. I have him ranked in like the 70s. Don't play Mike Williams. But I think this might get people off of Keenan Allen a little bit, which I think would be a big mistake. I think this is going to be a great game for him.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great game for Keenan Allen. I also think it's going to be a great receiving game for Austin Eckler. And again, 29 and a half. There it is, Mayo. 29 and a half yards. Yeah, it's a heavy juice at minus 152. And for you rookie bettors out there, you got to put $152 down and win 100 in return. That's how we do the math here in the American marketing system. But that's crazy. Like, I think Keenan Allen's got a great shot at a 7-8 catch game. I think Austin Eckler is going to be a 5 to 7 catch recipient today. I mean, this Bengals defense is Charmin soft. They made some upgrades. We'll see if it, can congeal in time, but they're going to be vulnerable all season long. And people are like, well, Tyrod Taylor never throws a running back. That's a bunch of bullshit. He absolutely throws a running back. Look at what LaShawn McCoy had a 51 catch season with Tyrod Taylor as a starter in Buffalo a few years back. So Eckler's going to be heavily involved today. And I agree with you on Keenan Allen. And I also agree with you on Mike Williams. You got to sit him down. He's got, like Mike Evans, decoy. That's exactly what he's going to be.
Jarvis Landry could be on a snap count as well with his hip problem. If you believe the spread in this game, and it's -7 right now for the Ravens, that if the Ravens jump up early, presumably that's what you would want for the Browns pass catchers in this situation. But I think if they get down by too much, they just might yank Landry from the game and let him sit for a while.
Well, that's a possibility. The other little bit of news tied to this game is Jimmy Smith, his back flared up this morning. He's been having some spasms, so he has gone from playing to now questionable. So, does that upgrade Odell Beckham Jr.? No, it doesn't. I mean, Odell Beckham last year in a pair of games against the Baltimore Ravens where we saw a lot of Marcus Peters and Marlon Humphrey, more so than Jimmy Smith, 6 catches, 64 yards, and a touchdown. That was in 2 games, folks. So I'm very hesitant. I have Odell Beckham outside my wide receiver 3 class. I got him at like wide receiver 37, 38 in my ranks. And then Jarvis Landry, you're right. I mean, you do wonder if he's going to be limited this game, spirals out of control. I think the Ravens are going to cover. I can't believe the line has come down from 8.5 at some books. It's now 7.5 at DK Sportsbook. I think that's great value there. The Browns are hurting on the back end defensively. No Kevin Johnson. One of their other starting DBs, Greedy Williams, is out. Del Pitt, who was supposed to be one of their starting safeties, talented rookie, he's out for the season. So you've got Denzel Ward and a whole bunch of random dudes. So Lamar Jackson could be very successful through the air. And the other prop that I love that didn't make my Fade 5 board, but probably should, Hollywood Brown, 47.5 yards, Mayo. That's what it is at DraftKings Sportsbook at -112. I do not understand that one at all.
I get it because that's either 120 or like 15.
That's true. That's true. And what's crazy, Elliot Christ, our wonderful COO at FTN Fantasy, he was saying that, look, right now, Hollywood Brown was trending or at least projecting to have the highest ownership of any DFS wideout this week. And yet his player prop is 47.5. something's not matching up here.
I think it goes along the same lines. Like Deshaun Jackson is also projected to be incredibly high as well. This is one of the same reasons that I want to like kind of leech on to Marvin Hall a little bit. You have these high ADOT receivers who are wildly unpredictable, but the booms are so big. I believe that's why the ownership is funneling into that area. Is just like I said, if it could be 118 yards and 2 touchdowns, that's what you want. Like I love Jamison Crowder this week, but I don't think that he's a great like DraftKings GPP play, just because I think it's going to be a very solid floor play. You want to use him in cash games? Go for it. You want to use him in your season-long PPR lineups? Go for it. But the chances he scores 35 points are kind of out the window.
Well, yeah, because he doesn't find the end zone with much consistency, and it's not like the Jets are going to be living inside the red zone for much of this game. And if they do, sniff the chalk or get close to it, it's probably going to be Le'Veon Bell more than likely involved there. Maybe some Chris Herndon as well, who they've really talked up throughout training camp, and as a player that's extraordinarily talented, a guy that had a very handsome ADOT as a rookie a couple of years ago before the injuries and the off the field issues kicked in. But yeah, I kind of like Crowder as a wide receiver 3, but I'm with you. Like in DFS, I'd pivot away from him. But in season long and a full point PPR, I think he's a very sound option there and capable of 6-7 catches for 65 yards and no touchdown.
Yeah. All right. Let's do some more one-word answers from the chat. You can follow along on YouTube, and the more likes that we get, I see a downvote there. Fuck you. Like the episode. Like the episode. Share it around. Come on. All right. Sit one of these guys. Hollywood, Djax, Diggs, and Amare. I'm sitting Amare.
Yeah, I am too. He's going to get shot up by Jalen Ramsey. I want nothing to do with the Pooper Cooper. That roller coaster ride's got to hit a dip.
Jonnu Smith or Jared Cook? Jonnu vision for me.
Man, you and I are on the same page early and often today. I'm also going Juggernaut Jonnu.
Would you go? Who's Al Brown? I don't know who that is. All right, so I'm going to throw out Al Brown, and we'll go Marvin Jones or Julian Edelman. I like Marvin Jones this week.
I want to know more about this Al Brown fellow. What's his spark score? What was his 40 time? I'm going Marvin Jones all day.
Diggs or Juju? I'll take Juju.
Yeah, Juju for me. Although I think this is, a lucky 7 situation. I don't think you're going to, lose with either one, but Juju high ceiling against that rancid secondary in New York.
Jonathan Taylor or Henry Ruggs III? I'll go with Ruggs.
Taylor for me, 60 yards and a touchdown. Book it. I think he and Mac both score.
I was going to say, I'm going with Mac on that side of it. I'm actually playing Mac in DraftKings lineups with my Minshew stacks. Love Minshew, but that's going to be my bring back. Him and Jack Doyle, who I also like a lot this week. Carson or Chubb, standard, the hot hand with Chris Carson. I'm not buying it, man. I think Chris Carson's going to be good. I would play Chris Carson.
I would also play Chris Carson. That is just a giant heaping pile of bullshit.
Fournette or your guy playing today, Brad, with a groin injury, David Montgomery, flea market.
Mandatory Montgomery, you jackals! Yes, you absolutely play him.
Over Fournette?
Yes.
Yeah, actually, no, I'd probably play Fournette.
Oh, God, that hurts my parts.
What do you do with
the parts, Mayo?
What are you doing with this Tampa backfield? Like, I think Fournette's the only capable starter that you can plug into your lineup, and I have him at running back 30.
Yeah, I got him at like RB 28, actually. Believe it or not, with Mike Evans ailing, I think Fournette's going to get more run than anticipated. I just don't like the matchup. I think this New Orleans front line is going to be rather stiff. They're going to be unrelenting for much of the season. I find this all hilarious, by the way, Mayo, because, when Fournette made the announcement, the declaration, hey, I'm going to Tampa, posted on Instagram with him in the Buccaneers uniform and all that stuff. And I went out and I took to Twitter immediately and I said, listen, folks, come week 3, he's going to get 60 to 65% of the opportunity share. And then Arians comes out the next day and says, oh, Rojo's still our guy. The amount of victory laps that people did on me was hilarious before we even had a single snap. And it's all, again, it's just a giant pile of bullshit. This is what Bruce Arians is selling you. He's selling you a pallet of snake oil with Rojo. You saw the grin on the face of Leonard Fournette when he was, pictured next to Tom Brady. That's a grin of a man and knows he's going to get like 500 touches this season. All right. He is going to be the primary running back. Follow the breadcrumbs. All off season, all Tampa Bay did was try to find reasons not to make Rojo the guy. And now you have a proven running back in Fournette, though he's got question marks in terms of pass pro, but can still catch the ball, runs very tough between the tackles. He was RB11 in yak per attempt last season. He is going to be the dude. And I think he's actually going to have a little bit larger role than people, expect in the opener. I just don't like the matchup, and that's why I'm going Monty.
$4,800 Boston Scott on DraftKings. And I mean, if you get a sub to ftndaily.com, use code Mayo, and you screenshot it to me, you are in a draw to get that membership returned to you for free. You still have access to it, obviously. You don't get the money back. You get your money back, but get full access. We're going to be announcing winners to that on Wednesday morning's Spread Pick Show with Cust and Feinberg this week. So you might as well get in. The ownership projections are behind here. Kyle Murray has Boston Scott projected at almost 40% ownership on DraftKings.
Wow. I guess my influence, I'll pat myself on the back on that one because I've been talking to Boston Scott all off season. The guy can play. I mean, he's a short, squatty dude, kind of built like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, really. Now, he's not nearly as talented as CEH. And you do have those question marks along that offensive line. But, again, this is an exploitable matchup against a Washington tier, which I think is going to have its problems this year. So as long as this Philadelphia Eagles makeshift offensive line can play at a respectable level, Boston Scott's going to have a day. And the other thing about him is this. He's more than just a run between the tackles kind of guy with that low center of gravity. He's an exceptional receiver of the backfield. That's actually the strongest part of his game. You can get him out there on a little quick slant route, operating out of the slot, maybe with Corey Clement in the backfield as a complement, and he can do some damage in the open field. He had an appreciable yak per reception. It was up there in Austin Eckler territory late last season. So I love Boston Scott, but at a 40% projected ownership, if you're looking to make that $1 million today, I think you're going to have to pivot away from him and find somebody else with a more of a projected lower ownership in DK.
Yeah, especially in that range. So we can talk about some of the guys in that range on DK, but the other two highest owned running backs, it's going to be Josh Jacobs at around 30%, McCaffrey around 30%, if that's the way that you want to go. I'm going to eat the Devontae Adams chalk. I think I played him in 80% of my lineups, played him in 16 of 20 lineups. I just love Devontae Adams this week. I think he is horribly mispriced. He should be around $1,000 more expensive, maybe more on DraftKings. He's so much closer to Michael Thomas than, let's say, Julio Jones is on a week-to-week market share basis. Let's fire him up. But if it's not going to be Boston Scott and you're looking to pivot off that area, you can either go up a little bit, just within like $500, or go all the way down. Like, do you have a preference between Gibson, Robinson, and Chris Thompson? Because I'm going back to Antonio Gibson. He was all the flavor 5 days ago. Now no one wants a piece of him. Yeah, sign me up. He's going to be like super low ownership now.
Yeah, look, and talking to some Washington insiders, JP Finley was on my SiriusXM show last week, and he works for NBC Sports Washington. I asked about Antonio Gibson and how much work is he going to get week one, and he goes, 3 weeks ago, you would have told me, or I would have told you maybe 10 touches. But once Adrian Peterson was kicked to the curb, and of course now he's with Detroit, he goes, he's the guy. Like, it's unquestioned in my mind that they're going to get him out there, and he's going to get at least 12 to 14 touches in this game. And what I like about Antonio Gibson too, Mayo, is that he's script agnostic, right? So, he's obviously an exceptional receiver out of the backfield. That we had a limited workload at the University of Memphis. Still, on those 77 touches with Memphis, he forced a missed tackle on 33 of those 77. He's got that shimmy, he's got the shake, he's got the multidimensionality. So no matter how the game flow goes, Antonio Gibson should log 65, 70% of the snap share. And, I'm with you there. If I had my druthers and I had my choices there, I would definitely go Antonio Gibson out of that group, though James Robinson intrigues me. He really does.
He intrigues me too, but I just feel like there's massive downside with him at the same time, that if they get behind early and they're just like, well, let's go to what we know, Chris Thompson.
Well, that's true. And that's what the crutch that Jay Gruden typically leans on. He's got all the experience in the world with Chris Thompson. He's utilized him in a successful capacity previously. Though this coaching staff has raved about him. I mean, Jay Gruden said on Friday, look, James Robinson made the decision easy. In terms of the depth chart, we put him at the top for a reason. We believe he has a 3-down skill set. He showcased that at Illinois State University, though it was a D2 level, at the FCS level. And, he's a guy that can also protect effectively, and that could keep him on the field. So you're right, though, but it's all about the script. Can the Jags be competitive? I have severe reservations that will indeed be the case. And that's why you and I are trumpeting one Marlon Mack today, who I think is locked in at 70 yards and a touchdown. And by the way, Mayo, he's plus 140 to score a TD at any time at DK Sportsbook. Great value.
Well, there's a couple guys like that. Like I'm kicking myself. I ended up betting Jordan Atkins' first touchdown in the Thursday night game, and I didn't take him 8-1 to score an anytime touchdown, like complete moron. But like if you do want to do like a bit of a round robin, basically take 5 guys that you think are going to score touchdowns today, and just basically make parlays of 3 with them. It's going to cost you a little bit more money, but the payouts on those can be super huge. That's how you lose money, by the way, betting on football. If you do want to learn how to bet about football, I actually posted a show with Rob Pizzola, Professional Sports Better, last week, where he kind of walks you through all the tips and tricks of what not to do, stuff that I do all the time because I do this for fun in terms of sports betting. Not a professional sports bettor by any means. That's why I can put my picks out on Twitter, and if you follow them, you're probably an idiot like me, and you're going to lose some money with me. But when I hit my 250-1 props parlay today, I'm going to be the one who's laughing then. More stuff coming up. You have a live AMA on FTNFantasy.com coming up at noon Eastern time. Plus, there are live streams, the pros show. You got Kyle Murray, you got Derek Brown behind the paywall as well at FTNDaily.com coming up at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time to react to all of the actives and inactives. Do you anticipate any surprises here? Do you think that we know what's going to be happening in terms of the actives and inactives?
No, I'm not really anticipating any surprises. I think the bigger question mark right now is applied to, the late game with Mike Evans. Obviously, we're not going to know that until later this afternoon. And then tomorrow night with Cortland Sutton. Yeah. Sutton, I don't know if you saw Vic Fangio's quote. He said, if he could do 10 jumping jacks, just 10 jumping jacks, he's good to go. It's like the most simple test imaginable. But he's got that AC joint. I talked to Dr. David Chow on the Sirius XM show on Friday, and I asked him point blank, I'm not a doctor. I'm a nincompoop. I'm a blathering idiot. That's why Mayo and I, work so well together because we're both just, low IQ guys. But, the thing about, what the injury is with Sutton is Chow goes, look, if he's willing to take a pain injection, he can play. And I think he's got to gut it out. I live here in Denver. I'm not really plugged in with any team except for the Broncos. And I was texting some of my local sources here, and I said, what are the odds here if you were put a percentage chance that Sutton plays? And the consistent response I got back was 75% he's going to go. Now, how effective he's going to be is anyone's best guess. But, if he can get that pain injection and he go out there and just gut through it, I think he could have a very nice game against his Tennessee Titans secondary. It's going to be down to Dory Jackson. And Drew Lock and Cortland Sutton were an unstoppable combination at Broncos training camp. Sutton is, I think, going to take another leap forward this year in his overall production, but we'll have to wait and see. You got to have a Jerry Jeudy. You got to have somebody on the other side of the ball, maybe like a Corey Davis or somebody you could pick up just in case Sutton can't go. But right now, trending more like he's going to play on that side of the questionable tag than the other.
Yeah, I don't even think I would risk it at that point with it being the very latest game because you might not have any other options. That would be the thing. Like you said, it could be Corey Davis, but he's dealing with a hamstring injury. He may or may not play. KJ Hamler's already banged up. Then you're down to unless you have Jerry Jeudy, which you probably don't if you have Cortland Sutton, then you're looking at like Tim Patrick. That's not a great option. Maybe you have Jonnu Smith and you put him into your flex and you can roll him that way. I would just say fade Cortland Sutton. Just don't worry about it this week. If he plays and does well, that's great news for your fantasy team moving forward. If he goes out and he re-injures himself early, you don't want to be trying to lay down the hammer on a Monday night to come back and have 0 points and be dead at kickoff. That would not be any fun. Question from Costa says, Kenny Golladay is out. Should I put Jordan Howard in my flex? I'm going to answer this one correctly and say yes. Play Jordan Howard over no one in your flex. That is my hot insight.
What else you can take the donut? Are you worried that Jordan Howard's going to put it on the ground and then get benched the rest of the game and you get negative points? Come on, Captain Obvious. Yeah, you fill the void. Put a body in there, a warm one, and Jordan Howard, who should get the bulk of the work. And if the Dolphins get anywhere close to the goal line, he's got to be the primary running back.
Yeah, that's just a situation where I don't love any of the Dolphins. I don't love any of the Patriots. Cam by himself, I can see having a good game. Until I know where the ball is going to go, and you always kind of want to be a week early, whether you're playing on DraftKings for your season-long lineup, it's a bit tougher to kind of go out and just try to be like, well, it's Preston Williams week. It's Mike Gesicki week. Like, is it? Do we know that? No, we don't. Do we know if it's Prater or Jordan Howard? We think it's Howard. We think it's going to be him 65, 70% of the time. That might not be the case. Maybe our Laird and Savior ends up getting worked back in like 15% of the time. Then, shit's gone. Like that wouldn't be good at all. David Montgomery or James Robinson? Robinson for me.
Oh, really?
Oh,
no,
yeah.
Mandatory. Man, why are you crapping on my guy?
Because he sucks.
You're going full Odell Beckham on me, man. What's up with that?
Listen, if he wasn't dealing with a groin injury, which could be re-aggravated at a moment's notice, I would have a bit more faith, but I don't.
I got all the faith in the world because I'm on the mandatory Montgomery Hill and I'm slowly dying because I'm bleeding out. But I'm going to ride that horse until it goes to the glue factory. So give me Montgomery.
All right, one-word answers. Wentz or Cam? I'll take Cam.
No. I am under on everything Cam, especially his player prop at 239.5, by the way, on DraftKings. It seems like free money to me. I'm going Carson Wentz.
I mean, he could throw for 230 and then run for another 80. And then all of a sudden, for me personally, I'm all about just taking the running quarterback. That is my divider. That is who you want. You want guys that can do things with their legs. That's just such a floor baked in even every single week. Hunt or Ruggs? I would go Kareem Hunt.
It's close. I'm going to go Henry Ruggs. That's what I'm taking against that weak secondary Carolina.
Hollywood or Edelman? I'll go with Hollywood Brown.
Hollywood. Yeah, all day.
I can only start one. Mac or Taylor? I would go Mac.
Yeah, I go Mac too.
All right. Tyler Boyd or Boston Scott? I would take Boyd.
Not against Chris Harris. Out of slot. Give me Boston Scott, baby.
Jarwin or TJ Hawkinson? I'll go with the Hawk.
Oh, well played. I love the facial reaction there, too. I'm going TJ Hawkinson. I think Hawkinson's going to have a top 10 week, honestly. I've got him stacked with Marvin Jones and Matthew Stafford. I'm telling you, folks, you're going to be able to throw on the Bears this season.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they have Buster Skrine in their secondary. That just yardage galore. But like I said, I like Marvin Hull to mix into that. If you're wondering about any of the latest news, whether it be Mike Evans or Miles Sanders, Boston Scott, any of that stuff, we talked about it at the beginning of the show. This show will be on demand. Well, it's on demand right now. If you want to go rewind on the live show, I don't know why you would do that. And it will be available up on the Pat Mayo Experience audio podcast feed at 11:05 a.m. Eastern Time. You got somewhere to go? Just hit the download, bring it with you. You'll be good to go with all of that to catch up. But we don't want to continue repeating ourselves on the same questions over and over. John Brown or Michael Gallup? Give me Gallup.
I kind of like John Brown a little bit. I'm telling you, Troy Hill can cover some dudes, but yeah, slight edge here to Michael Gallup.
All right. Gibson or James White in a PPR? I will go with Gibson.
I'm going White. If there is one New England Patriot to trust today, I think it's James White.
Okay. Diggs or Ridley? I'll go Ridley.
Oh, God. I don't like Calvin Ridley at all today. I'm not a big Calvin Ridley guy. This is tough. Give me Diggs.
All right, let's talk defenses on DraftKings. One of my favorite things to talk about. I've built a core of my 20 lineups with 4 defenses. Only one is a pay-up option. Objectively, I like the Colts, but they're the chalk defense. And just fade the chalk defense. That's usually the right move to make. So if it's not the Colts, Brad, where are you looking at defense this week?
I'm looking cheap. I mean, look, if you want to pay up, New England makes a ton of sense, but I think they're like $3,200 on DK. What about Washington?
Yeah,
right?
the
we
footballs.
got a banged up Philadelphia offensive line. You got Chase Young and Montrezl Sweat, 2 bookend pass rushers who are electric, dynamic talents. I mean, that is setting up very nicely. Now, look, this secondary of Washington is going to be woeful. Carson Wentz is going to have a lot of success, but, maybe there is a pick 6 opportunity. Maybe there's a strip sack, pick up and run it in with a fat guy touchdown. I mean, I think Washington could be sneaky good today. It could be a 5-6 sack kind of game for Young and Sweat. And if you haven't seen Chase Young, if you didn't watch any college football from the Ohio State last year, I mean, this guy is a specimen and absolutely dominated Washington training camp. He is as advertised, and I think he's going to deliver here in real action.
Yeah, the Washington Footballs are my highest owned defense of the week at the min price of $2,000. They were initially going to be very chalky on this slate, but then Boston Scott opened up, and a lot of people are playing Deshaun Jackson as well. He's going to be one of the highest owned wide receivers that eventually, like, there becomes the mental mindset is, well, if I'm playing Boston Scott, I can't play the defense that he's going against. So they've dipped from like 13% all the way down to like 7. They might even come in lower than that. They allow you to, if you want Christian McCaffrey, you want Dalvin Cook, you want Devontae Adams, you want Michael Thomas or George Kittle, this is who you're going to have to put into your lineup to do that. The other two that my pay up option is actually the Niners. I think that the Cardinals can still score a bunch of points and give up a bunch of fantasy points to the opposing defense. That's just the way that Kyler Murray plays when he starts running around in the backfield, just taking a bunch of sacks. That's fine by me. But I think there's going to be significant pressure there. But the two that I like right in the middle, I really like the Vikings defense at $2,500, and I really like the Saints defense at $2,400.
I think it's a great call on the Saints defense. The only downside with the Vikings defense is the fact that Aaron Rodgers just doesn't make any mistakes. I think he's got, 6 combined interceptions the last 2 years. I actually took the under 7.5 interceptions on the player prop before the season began that was available on DraftKings. He's just so judicious, so wise with the football in his hands. I think this New Orleans Tampa game is going to go well under the total. Which is, what is it, like 47.5, 48, something like that right now. I think Tom Brady could come out and not be the Tom Brady that we see to bombard defenses. I love the under on Tom Brady pass yards, which I believe is in the 270s, like 276.5 right now at DK. I think it's going to be anywhere close to that, especially with a banged up Mike Evans.
There is currently 18 spots remaining in the Pat Mayo Experience Listeners League on DraftKings. $15 to play. No rake, flat payouts. It is the best tournament on DraftKings. Hit the description of this video if you would like to play with one of those 17 spots left now. So they're running very, very quickly out of time to get into that tournament. There's also a golf one up, too, if you check out the golf show. Once football is over and you're like, cash out for the week. U.S. Open, major time. We already have 2 shows out about that and more coming up this week. Also, if you do have any start-sit questions, you can find my rankings in the description of this video right now if you just need a quick answer on anything. Tight ends. I kind of mentioned that when I was going through my player pool, I actually found room to play George Kittle. There's no other options in San Francisco. I didn't initially think that was going to be the case this week. I was just going to use a bunch of Jack Doyle and be on my way. But I've actually factored it into across 20 lineups playing 4 tight ends. Kittle and Doyle are going to be my most owned, but I also sprinkled in Ian Thomas as a part of my Teddy Bridgewater, DJ Moore, McCaffrey, Henry Ruggs bring back type stacks for that game stack. But I also played a little bit of Dallas Goedert as well. I already told you I like the 34.5 over receiving yards for Dallas Goedert, but he's just kind of lost in the shuffle on this team. And when it comes to scoring touchdowns, when they're playing 12 and they're both on the field, it's like a coin flip. Who's going to get it, Ertz or Goddard? And one of them's $4,100 and not popular this week.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a puzzler to me as well. I love Dallas Goedert. I think he's going to find the end zone. I really do. I think it's going to be like 50 yards and a touchdown. So hopefully you're going to cash the over on that receiving yards prop. And I think he's going to cash the 6 as well on the touchdown prop. If you want to go crazy deep and ultra cheap, CJ Uzoma, the Cincinnati Bengals going up against the Chargers. Look, the Chargers got some terrific DBs there. You know, you obviously have Chris Harris going to be man in the slot to try to body up with Tyler Boyd, and then Hayward working outside against a right now healthy AJ Green. I think it's going to really open some things up for Uzoma underneath. And, you know, he drew some rave reviews, building up a nice little chemistry with Joe Burrow, who I think is going to be as delivered, as advertised, a guy that was pinpoint efficient and accurate for the LSU Tigers. He didn't play for like Savannah State or Delta State or the Sisters of the Motherless Poor. He won a national title with LSU last year. If you watch that game against Clemson, I mean, he was threading all kinds of needles. So I think he's going to step on the field. I think Uzoma could be one of those sneaky guys, maybe get you 40, 45 yards and a touchdown if you want to go, you know, bargain basement buy at the tight end position in your DFS lineup here in week 1. Paul
Shaughnessy is switching this show. And Paul, you know that there's one thing I enjoy to do in the live chat. It's ban people for life. This guy, Kevin Kendrick, I was going to get to questions here in a moment, but he says, can you answer my question? Bye, I'm leaving. Guess what? You can't come back because you're fucking banned for life. Get the fuck out of my chat. What a coward. Get out of here. Pass. All right, Christian Kirk or John Brown? I will go with Christian Kirk.
Christian Kirk or John Brown? No, John Brown for me.
Why do people like John Brown this week? John Brown, you realize that the Bills do nothing but run, and they traded for Stefon Diggs.
Yeah, I get that. And I like Diggs too. I mean, his player prop was only 51.5 yards. I think he's going to hit the over because he's going to get force fed. But you look at this Jet secondary, they suck. They're going to be one of the league's worst. You trade away the best cover safety in the league in Adams to the Seattle Seahawks. And the cupboard was already bare along the bookends there at corner. So for me, it's John Brown.
All right. Montgomery, your boy, or James White, your boy?
Really? James White suddenly my boy?
But
No,
you
it's
love it.
mandatory all day.
If there's one Patriot you have to play, it's James White.
Look, well, that's true, and I'm promiscuous, as you know, when it comes to my fantasy man crushes, but it's mandatory Montgomery. He's going to obliterate, annihilate in terms of overall volume and workload compared to James White.
Yeah, you're basically a fantasy polygamist. You need to move one state over and join that guy Cody, who's on Sister Wives in Vegas.
Yeah, Southern Utah, man. Yeah, Southern Utah.
Would you go Anthony Miller, Landry, or Deontay Johnson? I would go with Tony Miller.
Deontay Johnson for me. That's the best matchup, I think, on the board. I love me some Anthony Miller. I'm in agreement with you, but I mean, come on. It's the Giants. They were bad before DeAndre Baker started robbing people. I mean, it's Deontay Johnson all day. I'm not worried about the foot. He practiced yesterday. I think it's going to be 65, 75 yards in a score for him on Monday night.
Cam Akers with Darrell Henderson expected to be active in this game, along with Malcolm Brown or Chris Thompson. I would still go Akers.
I go Akers there. Now, do we know if it's PPR or is it standard or half point? Do we have any kind of designation?
Oh, please. You think people put that stuff in? Give your head a shake.
Because it does sway me if it's a full point PPR. I'd probably go Chris Thompson. But I think Cam Akers is going to get a little bit more run than people anticipate. Just like you said, because of Henderson and that bum hammy. And I think this Dallas front line down Gerald McCoy for the year, no bueno.
Gronk or Hurst? Hurst.
Yeah, I go Hurst. So I think Gronk is also going to spike 6. I mean, it would just be so poetic and appropriate.
It would be, but let's think about that from a PPR context. Let's say he does get 6. What's that going to be, like 2 catches for 14 yards and a touchdown?
Yeah, exactly. And that's going to be the story of Gronk for much of the season. Suppress yardage, suppress catches, but maybe 6, 7 touchdowns.
Like if you actually want, I'm going to go look this up right now. FTNbets.com. If you really want to play Gronk, don't use him in your season-long lineup. Don't use him in your DraftKings lineup. Go to FTNbets.com and go use the free tool underneath the prop shop. Look up Rob Gronkowski, and if you actually think that he's going to have a good game, that means he's going to catch 2 touchdowns. So let's go find out what his to score 2 touchdowns prop is today. Let's see, receiving yards, longest reception, score a touchdown. On DraftKings Sportsbook right now, 10-1 to score 2 touchdowns.
Oh, 2? 10-1?
10-1.
That's a possibility. I wish it was about 15 or 20-1.
Well, maybe if you use the prop shop, maybe there are longer odds out there.
Oh, I see what you did there. And I'm going to tell you right now, folks, a prop shop is the most badass tool you've ever seen if you're a sports wagerer, because it's lightning fast. It curates from every legal sports book by state. So if you live in Jersey, it'll just curate for your state. I live here in Colorado, does the same thing. It's instantaneous. So whatever is out there, you can see where the values are. I'm telling you, next to fire, the combustible engine, and the polio vaccine, it's one of the greatest human achievements of all time.
I'm going to throw that into the chat right now. I'm going to throw the link to the prop shop up there, although I may have already closed it because I'm an idiot. And I did. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're only at 272 likes right now. That is ridiculous. We need to get over 300 if we want to keep taking questions here. And we're going to go, I'll go into like 5 minutes of overtime after Brad is off the line and take some more if we get to 400 or plus. So you know what to do. Smash the like out there. Derek Carr or Kyler Murray? Kyler Murray.
I think Derek Carr is going to have a nice game. He's kind of a sneaky, fun player to insert on the cheap at quarterback and DFS. But yeah, I'm with you. Kyler Murray.
Chark or A.J. Brown? I'm going my man.
Come on.
The Chark of darkness. Let's go.
Yeah, look, I mean, you've been espousing the greatness of DJ Chark, I think all week long. I think you're already, what are you locked in for? 525 yards and 6 touchdowns approximately?
That's a
DJ
floor.
Chark.
That is the floor for DJ Chark.
That's a floor. Yeah, easy, DJ Chark.
Weather update. It's going to be soggy in Buffalo. Is it Buffalo? Yeah, it's in Buffalo. Is it Buffalo? Yeah. I'm very close to Buffalo, and it's pouring rain right now. It's going to stop pouring rain by the time kickoff happens. It's going to be a real soggy field at Orchard Park. Also, it looks like there's a bit of rain, lighter rain in Jacksonville for the Colts-Jacksonville game to kick off. That, too, is going to clear up. Would you play Reagor or Edwards? I would try to find someone else. Go pick up Marvin Hall and play him instead.
Well, I think Brian Edwards is intriguing. I would not trust Jalen Reagor because of the missed practice time, even though it's a great matchup against his Washington secondary, which should be bottom barrel this season. But so's Carolina's. And that's another one of my biggest curiosities. One of the week 1 storylines that I want to follow is just how much of a volume that Brian Edwards is going to see, but he was a very talented kid out of South Carolina, appreciable yards after the catch. He's a menace in the open field. I actually go Edwards, but, I kind of do like your Marvin Hall call.
Yeah, I would take Edwards over Rager. Just you can't play him right now. But I would go with Marvin Hall over both those guys, and he is available in 99% of leagues, so you can go pick him up. Odell or Hollywood Brown? I'd go Hollywood.
Hollywood all day.
All right. Boston Scott or Jonathan Taylor?
Boston Scott.
Yeah, Scott for me. Herndon or Doyle? I think that's Doyle. Like, they're the same guy, but Doyle's better.
I think Doyle's better based on the matchup today. I think Herndon's a more talented player. God, I don't really like Jack Doyle at all.
How dare you?
I know. Look, listen, man. I know that you're always swiping right on Grinder when he comes onto your screen. That's how much you love Doyle. But I'm actually going Chris Herndon.
I mean, if it's a swipe right on Grinder, the come on the screen's already there, pal. We got Montgomery or KJ. Who are we going with? Who is KJ in this circumstance? Can you just fucking spell people's names? It makes it so much easier as I'm trying to read this in real time. Sterling Shepard
KJ? KJ Hamler?
I guess so.
Kajana Carter? Like, what are we doing here? I'm going mandatory Montgomery. I don't know who the KJ is.
Yeah, like it's like when people put Johnson or Brown. Like, would you play Brown or Johnson? It's like, oh, thanks for that one.
Which Smith?
Sterling Shepard or Preston Williams? I like Sterling Shepard this week, especially with Tate hurt.
And I think Preston Williams is a jag, just a guy. I'm not really overly impressed with him. I didn't understand the whole buzz around him. I watched him on tape and I compared the secondary analytics, and he's just May. There's nothing special about him. I'm with you. I go the other direction. I sit down Preston Williams.
PPR, White or Fournette? I would go with your boy, James White.
In a PPR, yes, I go White, but I'm telling you, Fournette's probably going to have more carries and touches than people are anticipating.
Here's a situation that you didn't think you would get into. A.J. Brown or Marvin Jones? I would actually stick with A.J. Brown.
No, Marvin Jones for me. Well, look, here's the thing. Denver is severely banged up. There's no doubt about it. Von Miller's out for the season. Bradley Chubb is not at 100%. So you're not going to have that prolific pass rush you normally would. Now, the back end is the strength. There's supposed to be the strength of this defense, depending upon which version of A.J. Boye shows up. If it's the one from a couple of seasons ago when he had like a 40s passer rating allowed, they're going to be locked down because Justin Simmons can flat out play. If it's the A.J. Brown or A.J. Boye of last year, who gave up 100+ passer rating, it's going to be a different story. I don't trust Brown. This is going to be so much Derrick Henry in this game. So I'm going the other way there. No way. I'm sitting down A.J. Brown.
Carson or Chark? Come on, Chark.
Again, if we had a standard PPR,
I don't care. Play Chark. Play the good player.
They're both good.
Yeah, but one's excellent. One is excellent.
Talking up Chris Carson
one is
earlier.
Excellent. One is excellent.
What? They're both fantastic. What the hell are you talking about? I tell you what, because Pat is gazing lovingly into my eyes right now, and he's just so damn handsome and Canadian, and I want to be him, I'm going to go DJ Chark.
Eagles D or Steelers D? I would take the Steelers defense.
Yeah, definitely Steelers defense, knowing the downside for turnovers, the aptness for that from Daniel Jones.
Todd Gurley or Boston Scott? Todd Gurley.
Todd Gurley.
All right. Jeff or Allen? I think he means Goff, but I will take Josh Allen.
Jeff Hostetler, maybe? I'm going to go Josh Allen.
Singletary or Moss? I actually prefer Singletary to Moss in this matchup. You had mentioned the yards per carries from the Jets, but they're most susceptible to runs off tackle, which, if we look at Moss versus Singletary, this is in the prop. You can go check out the prop column that you and I did together up on ftnbets.com. Code Mayo. But at the same time, Singletary is used off tackle, and that's where the Jets are the most susceptible on perimeter run. So I like Singletary in this matchup more than Moss.
Well, again, on the Fade 5, I have Devin Singletary at numero dos on the under 78.5 total yards. I'm going Zach Moss. My biggest concern with Singletary is he puts it on the ground, he's going to get benched.
Puts it on the ground. All right. I am going to stick around and do some Q&As with you here in about 5 minutes' time. So keep loading in your questions. I'm going to get to them. But Brad, thank you for showing up. I was worried that you weren't going to show up, but here you are. You're going to be here on the Pat Mayo Experience every Sunday. However, you're doing an AMA at noon Eastern time, correct?
Yeah, only for FTN Fantasy subscribers. So if you haven't signed up yet, use that promo code Mayo, MAYO, or mine, EVANS, Evans, to get your 10% off right now. And if you do, you get access to me and me alone for 1 hour. Going to answer as many questions as humanly possible, update you on the latest inactives and actives, whether whatever is going to be impacting your fantasy football lineups. Exclusive for FTN Fantasy subscribers. You don't want to miss it. I mean, where do you get accessibility like this? Seriously, where? Very few places. You going to get that at ESPN? No. You going to get it at CBS? No. You're going to get it right here on FTN Fantasy.
Yeah, so after the AMA, once football starts, if you haven't cashed your lineups already, you can go to onlyfans.com/Brad Evans. You can look at his feet or something like that too. Another way for accessibility with Brad Evans. But noon Eastern time, FTNfantasy.com. If you go to FTNdaily.com, use code Mayo. Get behind that wall. You get player projections, the optimizer, the cornerback and wide receiver matchups that Jeff Radcliffe has put in there, the pace stats, the lineup builder, ownership projections, the split tools. If you're serious about playing on DraftKings this year, I fucking say go do this. And if you screenshot me your subscription, you will be in a draw to get it for free. And I'll be announcing the winners on Wednesday's show with Jeff Feinberg and Tim Andacust. You can find the rankings in the description to this video. They will be updated the moment I get off this chat, but stick around on the video because I will be continuing to use your answers or answer your questions. But for the audio listeners, I'll see you next time. Remember to sub to the show. All right, guys, let's jump back into this chat. We say bye to Brad Evans for the moment. Again, check him out at noon Eastern time at ftnfantasy.com. Again, if you want to listen to the show on demand, you can do that on YouTube, or in about 10 minutes' time, it will appear on the Pat Mayo Experience audio feed. Always remember to rate and review. I'm going to go rapid fire through all of these and try to get to as many as possible over the course of the next 10 minutes. Likes are always a suggestion if you want me to go longer. We got over that 400, so I'm doing at least 5 minutes here with you guys. Singletary or Moss? I said Singletary. CeeDee Lamb or Larry Fitzgerald? Let's go CeeDee Lamb. AJ Green or Christian Kirk? AJ Green. Mack or Gibson? Standard? I'm still going Gibson. Eagles D or Bears D? Already. Let's go Eagles D on that one. Gronk or Hurst? I would go with Hayden Hurst Helmsley. Akers or Thompson? I'm going Cam Akers. Sterling Shepard, Jarvis Landry, or James Robinson? I like Sterling Shepard in that matchup. Chris Conley or Deshaun Jackson? D-Jax, let's go. A.J. Brown or Cooper Kupp? A.J. Brown. Montgomery or Gibson? I'm going Gibson. OBJ or Edelman? I'm going Jules Edelman in this matchup in a full point PPR, which this question is. Tannehill or Bridgewater? Big Teddy B for me. Jonnu Smith or Jack Doyle? Ooh, I like both those guys. Both in my top 10. I might have to go. I think I have them back to back in my rankings. Let's see here. Jack Doyle at 6, Jonnu Smith at 7. The answer, friends, is Jack Doyle. Carson Wentz or Matt Ryan? Matt Ryan. Try not to double up on the questions here. Saves us some time. A.J. Brown or McLaurin? Scoring McLaurin, always. Gallup or Julian Edelman? I like Julian Edelman. Riggs or Edwards? Riggs. Kirk or Sterling Shepard? Since Evans is suspect, I would agree with that. I would say Sterling Shepard is the play. Here, Trubisky or Haskins? Big Mitch T. Johnny Unitas, Aaron Rodgers, Mitchell Trubisky. The only 3 quarterbacks in history to have passed for 3 or more touchdowns in 3 consecutive games against the Detroit Lions. And it turns out they're missing their number 3 overall pick in the secondary as well. And no Slay. Bombs away for Big Mitch. Mitchapalooza 2020. Let's have it. More questions. Sterling Shepard or Preston Williams? Sterling Shepard. James White or Tyler Boyd? I like Tyler Boyd. Amari Cooper or Boston Scott? Boston Scott. Mostert or Brown? Mostert. That's A.J. Brown, by the way. Overall Browns, I think. Don't hold me to that. I like Mostert, though. Would you take your chance on Irv Smith Jr.? Sure. Over no one? Absolutely. Fucking terrible question. Give your fucking head a shake, pal. Smash the like, though. Melvin Gordon or Julian Edelman? I hate Melvin Gordon. So Julian Edelman for me. Shady McCoy or Latavius Murray? Latavius Murray, I guess. There are no other options that you can plug in. Kendrick Bourne or Emmanuel Sanders? Let's go with Manny Sanders. The original Colonel on that one. Jordan Howard or Kerryon Johnson? Jordan Howard. Evans or Thielen? That's not even close. Don't play Mike Evans. Play Adam Thielen. I don't even have to have a Thielen on this one because I got a Thielen. Ooh. Evans is not going to do much today. Hilton or Diggs? Hilton. All right, the chat is jumping on me. Parker, Fournette, or Deshaun Jackson? I would go with Deshaun Jackson. Carr or Mitch Trubisky? Trubisky. Lions defense or Titans defense? Titans defense. Drake or Chark? Chark. Deshaun Jackson or Gibson? Gibson. Parker or Landry? Parker. Just I'm worried about that snap count with Jarvis Landry. Boston Scott or Boyd? Boyd. Well, now let's see. Todd Gurley or Aaron Jones? Gurley for me. Mike Evans or Hayden Hurst? Hayden Hurst. I'm just fading Evans, like I said. Lockett or Amari Cooper? Tyler Lockett in that regard. McLaurin or Djax? Scoring. McLaurin. DJ Moore or Tyler Boyd? DJ Moore, one of my top plays today. Gallup or Djax? Djax. Kareem Hunt, John Brown, or Tariq Ice Cream Cohen? Kareem Hunt in this matchup. I actually kind of like him about the same as Nick Chubb this week. A.J. Brown or Boston Scott? A.J. Brown. DJ Moore or Tyler Boyd? DJ Moore. Edelman or Gallup? Edelman. I think I've answered all of these already. Conley or Chenault? I'm going with my guy, the Chenault Wig Company. Evan Ingram, Antonia Gibson, as it's written, or Jamison Crowder? Crowder. Full point PPR. Let's go. It would be Gibson over Ingram in that regard, too. All three decent plays, though. Singletary, Judy, or Malcolm Brown? Judy. Boyd or DJ? Just stop asking the same fucking questions. Hunt, Ronald Jones, Lindsey, standard leagues. I'm still going Kareem Hunt in this situation. Thielen or Lockett? Thielen. Hurst or Jonnu Smith? I like Jonnu Smith a little bit more. Mack or McLaurin? McLaurin. Robinson or Gibson? Gibson. Ruggs or Lamb? Ruggs. Deontay Johnson or Devontae Parker? Deontay Johnson. Chris Thompson or Ronald Jones? Chris Thompson. Chargers D or Green Bay or Titans? Chargers defense against Joe Burrow. That defensive line is still there against a bad offensive line. AJ Green or Edelman? AJ Green. Ebron, Fant, or Hawkinson? I know people are going to like Yeah, let's go with Hawkinson. I really like Eric Ebron, though. The Ebrontosaurus. Let's go. Jonathan Taylor or Devontae Parker? I'll go with Jonathan Taylor. Sutton, Hollywood Brown, or Marvin Jones? Marvin Jones. Marv, Kareem Hunt, or Diggs? Marv. Chark or McLaurin? Chark. Lockett or Chark? Chark. Robinson or Thompson? Let's go with Robinson for the upside. You need a floor, it's Thompson, but I think I would swing for the fences on that one and go with Robinson. Ronald Jones or Thompson? Thompson. Jonnu or Chris Thompson? Jono Vision. Mack or Bell? Bell. Kirk or Marvin Hall? Marvin Hall. Goddard or Gesicki? Sticky Gesicki? No thanks. Dallas Goddard for me. Yo, Dallas Goddard. Juju or Chark? Chark. Burkhead, Hines, or Josh Kelly? I think I would take Burkhead. Ugh. Gibson or Gurley? Gurley. Judge Judy or Chris Thompson? I would go with Chris Thompson, actually, in this regard. Big Ben or Matt Ryan? Matt Ryan. Mostert or James White? Mostert. Mixon or Chark? Chark. Fant, Gesicki, or Cook? I would go with Cook. Lambs or Ruggs? Ruggs. Ingram or Scott? You asked about Mark Ingram? You're banned for life. Get the fuck out of my chat. Fournette or Sony Michel? Fournette. Metcalf or Deshaun Jackson? DK Metcalf. DJ Moore or Devontae Parker? DJ Moore, not close for me. Singletary or Hunt? Hunt, not close for me. Kerryon Johnson or Corey Clement? I'd probably go with Corey Clement, to tell you the truth. Raheem Mostert or Devontae Parker? Colonel Mostert. McLaurin or Jonathan Taylor? McLaurin. We got 3 minutes left of questions. I'm going to keep powering through these. AJ Green or Christian Kirk? AJ Green. Taylor or McLaurin? McLaurin. Boyd or Gibson? Gibson. Fournette or Mark Ingram? Mark Ingram, you say? Banned for life! Imagine starting that devil Mark Ingram. Please, give your fucking head a shakes, pals. Ridley or Bell? Bell. Scott or Hunt? Hunt. Bell or Thompson? Bell. Bell or Edelman? Bell. I don't hate Bell as much as people seem to. Jimmy G or Stafford? Stafford. Gibson or Ruggs in standard? Still Gibson. Josh Jacobs or Aaron Jones? There I would take Josh Jacobs. Pick 2. Allen, Woods, Scary Terry. Never call him Scary Terry. That is a terrible nickname. Never call him F1. That is a terrible nickname. You have 2 options. Scorin, McLaurin, or High T. Because you need to have some high T to play High A. Terry McLaurin. The answer is Terry McLaurin and Robert Woods. Antonio Gibson over Tyler Boyd. Akers over Ruggs. Gibson over Robinson. Hollywood over Montgomery. Hurst over Fant. Chris Thompson over Phillip Lindsay, although that is very close. Would you go with DK, Amari, or Singletary? I think that's DK. That is not close. Le'Veon Bell or T.Y. Hilton? There I would go with T.Y. Hilton. Hollywood or Djax or Boston Scott? I would take Boston Scott. Josh Jacobs or Aaron Jones? Josh Jacobs. Marv or Chark? Daniel Jones or Kyler Murray? Kyler Murray for this week. CD or Juju? Juju. Dobbins or Scott? Regor or Jackson? Jackson. Jimmy G or Burrow? Give me Jimmy G, I guess. You got better options out there. Go pick up Minshew and play him. Minshew rules. Amare, DK or Singletary? DK. Zach Moss or Jonathan Taylor? I would go with Jonathan Taylor. Lockett or Jacobs? Jacobs. Miller or Boyd? Miller. Hurst or Henry? Henry. Miller, Fournette or Howard? Pick 2. Fournette and Miller for me. Pick 2, Keenan, Woods, and Amare. It's Keenan and Woods. Prescott versus Wilson. Give me Russell Wilson for this week. I have them back-to-back 4 and 5 in the rankings. I think they're both good plays. Kyler or Ben? Kyler. Cam or Stafford? Cam. Edelman or Landry? Landry. Rager or Jackson? Jackson. CeeDee Lamb or D. Johnson? Oh, Deontay Johnson. I would go with Deontay Johnson in that matchup. Montgomery or Murray? Cooper? Cooper. Anthony Miller or Boyd? Miller. Got time for 5 more, unless we can get to 700 likes in the next minute. It's probably not going to happen, so we got 1 more minute of questions here. Cook or Higbee? Ellen or Higbee? Sony or Singletary? Singletary. Gallup or Mack? Mack. Akers or Boyd? Boyd. Stafford or Jimmy G? Stafford. Devontae Parker or Tariq Cohen? Tariq Cohen. Devontae Parker or Sterling Shepard? Sterling Shepard. Ingram over Waller? Yes, by a very slight amount. Woods or Fournette? Woods, not close for me. Judy or Parker? Judy. Akers or Boyd? Boyd. Rojo or Thompson? Full point PPR? Chris Thompson. Amare or Hollywood Brown? Hollywood Brown. Fant or Higbee? Higbee. Amare or Hollywood? Hollywood Brown. Mack or Gallup? Mack. McLaurin or Marvin Jones? Scoring. McLaurin. Have some high tea. Have some balls and play McLaurin. Jonathan Taylor or Deontay Johnson? Johnson. CeeDee Lamb or Gibson? Gibson. Landry or Rager? Landry. Gurley or Scott? Gurley. Hunt or Sony? Hunt. Landry over Rager. Clement over Ronald Jones. Scott over Mack, full point PPR. I have them back-to-back in the rankings. That's a coin flip, but I will take the upside of Boston Scott that maybe he gets all of the work in that offense. Taylor or James White? James White. Gurley or Scott? Gurley. Parker or Judy? Judy. It's just people with the same question over and over. Andrews or Woods? Mark Andrews or Woods? Woods. Sony or Hunt? Hunt. Moss, Lindsey, or Fournette? Lindsey. Gallup or Marvin Jones? Marvin Jones. Oh, you got you're timing people out, Paul?
He asked the same question. It was Rager or Landry, and he had asked it like 15 times.
Yeah,
I gave him a 300-second timeout. He's not banned for life.
Not banned for life?
I don't ban people for life, but a little bit too much.
Yeah, so. Gibson over Diggs. There are the rules of the chat that if you ask the same question twice, you're banned for life.
Oh, you did it like 15 times.
I didn't throw that out at the beginning, so maybe new people don't know. I don't know. I'm taking 5 more just at random here because we didn't get to the 700. We got to 650. Very good, though. But I'll do 5 more at random. Edelman or Fournette? Edelman. McLaurin or Gibson? Scoring McLaurin. Odell Beckham or Chark? Chark, not close. Boston Scott or Tariq Cohen? Boston Scott. Deshaun Jackson or Stefan Diggs? I will go Diggs on that one. Amari Cooper or Emmanuel Sanders? I will take my guy, Manny Sanders, against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Boston Scott or Cohen? Boston Scott. Newton, Wentz, or Garoppolo? Newton. Fant or Jarwin? Fant. Le'Veon, T.Y., or Gallup? T.Y. CeeDee Lamb or Brian Edwards? CeeDee Lamb. Mike Evans or Deshaun Jackson? Deshaun Jackson over Mike Evans. I'm not playing Mike Evans. If you missed the show, go back and rewind. Smash the like button on the way. Or if you're an audio person and want to listen to the show, go download the Pat Mayo Experience podcast. It's going to be up in about 5 minutes' time on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you download your podcast. You'll be able to find the Sunday recap with myself and Brad Evans. Brad and I will be back every single week, 10 a.m. Eastern time on Mayo Media Network. Subscribe to Mayo Media Network. Smash the like on the way out. If you have more questions, my rankings are in the description of this video right now. And guess what? They'll answer your questions, even if I didn't. Thank you all for watching. Good luck in week 1. Subscribe to FTN Daily and FTNFantasy.com. If you screenshot me your purchase, you're eligible to have your money refunded for you. Use code MAYO, by the way, to get 10% off. Let's go. Week 1's back. Have some fun. Get your lineups in. Win some cash. I'll see you next time.